Hello there fellow NPCs, I am Scythe, and today we're getting back into Everlasting Summer. We are playing the not the Uliana path, we are playing the Slavya path. It's easier to say Uliana for some reason, but we are on the Slavya path and we have just found Shurik, and he did not attack us this time around, so Slavya is a very comforting, very soothing person. So what else can you do now for the rest of this game? All we can do is play the game and find out. So, yeah, let's start day 5 of Everlasting Summer. And also, I have most likely seen a lot of the things going up here, so I will see you at the next important choice. See you soon. Now, we're at the very first important thing to do, and it is to pick strawberries for the cake that we're going to do for Shurik's return. Not for me being heroic and shit, but for Shurik's return. But we have done this already, haven't we? Let's see. Yeah, see you soon. Now, we're back for real. And we have had the cake now, and Uliana threw herself on that cake. We have gone to the forest, and we have ignored Lena and Alyssa. So now that we can go and find Slavya. Question is she gonna be naked again in the water somewhere? We'll see. I don't know actually. So let's go. Try to find Slavya. I'm really interested in where Slavya's gone. Though I also wanted to leave this place as fast as possible, and if not to finally lie down to sleep, then at the very least to spend some time alone, away from all these pioneers and Olga Dmitrievna, who just couldn't wait to occupy me with something again. I picked a good moment and fled into the forest. Night had fallen onto the camp. An absolutely normal and unremarkable night. One of those nights when the dark sky, stars and crescent moon don't trigger any special emotion. When the crickets chirping and the singing of nightbirds seemed more like an everyday routine than a nocturnal chorus. I wandered around the forest with no special purpose, trying not to get too far from the camp. After all, there was no chance to meet Uliana out there, and a natural disaster would probably be even worse than the camp leader. Yeah, I think we're just talking shit about Uliana, or did I do something wrong? I sat down on a fallen tree and started thinking. Why is this all happening to me? Why do I keep getting myself into foolish situations, every time and everywhere? Even having suddenly appeared in a weird pioneer camp in the middle of nowhere, I don't get to become a subject of experiment, a victim of a sick cosmic mind, or a participant in an intergalactic war on the side of a group of suicide-prone pacifists, like a regular hero of science fiction. No, I get to hide in a night forest from a raving camp leader and her workhorse pioneers. The stars in the sky were shining brightly. Perhaps they give their light not only to me on this camp, but also shine on the city where I was born, and where my old home is. It was as if pain settled in my chest. I envisioned my old flat clearly, and a detestable burning started making its way from my stomach to my throat. No, it was not wistfulness, more like a sad reminiscence. Because despite all that's happened, I felt more alive in less than 5 days here than I had for the last several years there. Now I really wasn't sure if I wanted to get back. Only one question still ate at me. How and why I ended up here. It flared up yet again in my mind. I haven't spent too much time seeking answers or even just thinking about my situation lately. My thoughts were occupied with everyday routine affairs. And now, in order to break away and be able to wish to stay here for good, I need to understand the nature of this place. It's just that even a nightingale in a golden cage has a right to know how and by whose will he got in there. And after that, to make the choice whether to stay or not. Probably, I would have been lost in my existential thoughts for a long time, but I heard voices approaching, Olga Dmitrievna and the pioneers. Looks like they're proceeding with their hike. I headed to the camp at a fast pace. I have no desire to go back to the camp leader's cabin because I would surely be scolded. Just waiting for it is much worse. Soon enough I arrived at the beach. And I wasn't alone. A pioneer uniform was lying on the sand. A girl's one. But no one seemed to be swimming in the water. I almost thought that it was some new devilry when suddenly a voice came from behind. Skipping out on the hike? I thought you were still in the woods. Okay, she's not naked. She's actually using a bathing suit this time. Yeah, it's a bikini. I turned around and saw Slavya in a bikini. Sorry, I guess I interrupted you. That's okay. I'm almost done. Why did you decide to have a swim during the night? Oh, well, is it prohibited? She smiled. Well, no. It's just... Won't Olga Dmitrievna mind you leaving early? But you did the same. Slavya gave me a quick glance. Yeah, I did. I sat down on the sand and stared at the river. You didn't like the hike, did you? No, it's not that. I just wanted to be alone for some time. And I've interrupted you. No, not really. That's not like you at all. What are you talking about? Well, to leave like that. Well, I'm not a robot that can only act according to a predefined program. She laughed. Yeah, that's right. I was still puzzled, and my fatigue was also becoming stronger and stronger. My mind was absolutely blank. To be precise, it was so heavy and full, so that not even a single idea would have the chance to dwell there. If I would compare my brain at its prime to a broad highway full of speeding thoughts and overtaking each other and causing giant chaotic crashes, then now it's nothing but a forgotten tiny path in a distant desolate forest, which is only used in times of absolute necessity. So I said the first thing that crossed my mind. Do you think it's all pretty strange here? Strange? Everything that happens here. It's the ideal model of a pioneer camp. Of course, it's not like I know a lot about them, but it looks exactly like I imagined it. What are you talking about? Slavya glanced at me perplexedly. Did you ever feel that you're not where you belong? I don't know. More precisely, not where you are meant to be at all. As if thousands of kilometers away from here, or even in another galaxy. I don't understand you. We're similar in this. I lay down on my back and looked at the stars. And what will you think if I told you that I'm an alien from the future? Are you? Asked Slavya in dead earnest. Well, let's assume I am. How should I return to my time? Do you really want to? Yeah. All the conversations with her that have to do with my situation, even the slightest hints of it, always end up at the same place. It's like she's offering me a chance to stay. Almost insisting on it. Well, let's say that I'm not sure. There, as we would call it, everything is like home to me. Or rather more familiar. Practically everything is known to me and I'm preparing for any situation. And here is the other way around. Literally every little thing comes as a surprise. And everything's different. Is it really that bad? I wouldn't call it bad. Unfamiliar, unclear. Sometimes it can be hard to change something, especially for people with my personality. But what do you really want? To start with, I can't answer that question until I find out exactly where here is. Then go and find out. If only it was that easy. But what's so difficult about it? Yeah, she's being really annoying now. Everything's difficult. I don't even know where to start. And I'm constantly being distracted. You're talking about it so seriously. It's almost like it's all real. She laughed. Who knows? A pretty long silence followed. Suddenly, Slavya sneezed. Bless you. Thanks. It wasn't a good idea to swim at night. You could get ill. Hurry to your cabin. It's cold out here. It's nothing. I'd rather sit here with you a bit more. Now, just let me dress. Well, I was certainly flattered, but let's go. I'll walk you. But we didn't even walk a dozen steps before Slavya grasped my arm. What's the matter? Oh, I suddenly felt dizzy. I touched her forehead. It was burning. I was never able to measure body temperature by touch, but in this case it was obvious. I told you. Achoo! Come on. No, I could infect Senya. Listen, we'd better go to the infirmary. And what will you do in the infirmary at night alone? That's nonsense. No, it's not nonsense. If you don't want to help, I'll go by myself. She let go of my hand and was ready to leave. Don't get upset. Put this on, it's cold. I handed her my sweater, which I had brought with me on the hike. Finally found some use for it. Good boy. Thanks. She pulled the sweater on and gave me such a tender and caring look that I just couldn't argue with her anymore. Okay, fine. The infirmary it is, as you say. Ooh, it is very dark now. 5 minutes later we were standing by the infirmary door and Slavya was picking out the right key. I still considered this idea quite foolish. Nobody ever died from the common cold. At least not in the past century. I couldn't see any good reasons to spend the night in the infirmary. Finally, Slavya opened the door and leaned on my arm. I'm still a bit dizzy, she said guiltily. Slavya landed on the bed. I sat on the chair nearby. Still, listen. Alone for the whole night in the infirmary? After all, at least Senya could get you a glass of water if you needed one. She wouldn't catch the illness. She's young and strong. It's all right. I don't want to bother anyone. And the nurse will come tomorrow. I suddenly imagined myself in Slavya's place. Imagined that I had to spend the whole night here, alone. And shivers ran down my spine. Listen, maybe I can stay with you for a while. I owed a lot to Slavya. And in fact, I didn't even want to leave. What for? Everything will be fine. Thanks for walking me over. You should go and get some sleep. I still think it's fine. For a moment I thought, of course, nothing terrible will happen to her here. But I myself would feel more relaxed if I stayed with her. I think... Oh, come on! Slavya cried out, as if offended. You won't throw me out, will you? I smiled slyly. Alright, but if you get infected, you only have yourself to blame. I was happy with my little victory. Okay, then what shall we do? There should be some playing cards in the chest. Durak? In fact, I didn't know any other games except that one and poker. Okay. We spent a lot of time playing. I completely lost the track of time. We chatted, laughed a lot. Slavya didn't seem ill at all. And then midnight came. Time to sleep. Probably. But where are you going to go? She gazed at me. Come on. You shouldn't be sitting in here with me. I can do it anyway. At that moment, I could even fall asleep standing up. Slavya watched me for some time, then drew the curtain and said, Good night. Night. I lowered my head on my arms and fell asleep in an instant. Despite being exhausted, I slept uneasily. It was more of a slumber. My awareness kept leaving me and returning again. The best possible state for dreaming something psychedelic. Bus number 410 drove past the room. It was snowing from the ceiling, and my computer monitor suddenly rose from the middle of our table. Wallpaper blended through the walls, rubbish piles rose through the floor, and my old bed materialized in the corner. I was in my old flat again. The scenery changed to that of my hometown. It was like I was running through endless hordes of people, bustling in and out. And then darkness fell on me. Primal, universal darkness. I jumped up in terror. I was sweating like a river. Slavya was looking at me worriedly from the bed. Just a bad dream. I attempted to smile. You were screaming. Screaming what? I don't know. It was incomprehensible. The clock displayed 0:30. Semyon. Huh? I'm freezing. Slavya was rubbing the arms of her sweater, shivering. Hang on, I'll find a blanket. I searched through one cabinet after another, swearing to myself about how the damn infirmary had nothing to cover up the patients. I'm sorry, there's nothing here. Wait, I'll run and fetch something. You don't have to. You just lie here with me. It'll be much warmer. She was absolutely serious. Her voice sounded so piteous that for a second I was left breathless. Are you sure that it is okay? So it's not? She asked, blushing. No, why? I slowly took off my shoes and lay on the very edge of the couch, trying to occupy as little space as possible, trying to shrink up and stop breathing. Slavya gently embraced me and rested her head on my chest. Yeah, that's better, she purred. I was unable to say anything and just lay there calmly. Very good. Thank you. For what? Slavya kept her eyes closed and seemed ready to fall asleep at any second. For being here. It's fine. 2 minutes ago she was desperately trying to get rid of me. No, really. Then you're welcome. She said nothing, but I was sure that Slavya smiled. Contact us at any time, as they say. You're so kind. You care so much. Well, I try. You're a good friend. Oof! Oof! That hurts. Friend? Well, yeah, probably. Somehow this word hit me painfully. On the other hand, there was no reason to believe that I was something more to Slavya than just a friend. What are these thoughts about anyway? You too. I just couldn't bring myself to find the right words. What's up with the you too? It's been a pleasure dealing with you. We hope for further mutual beneficial cooperation. Or, yeah, it's cool being friends with you too. Let's go and play in the sandbox. This was twice as hard to endure with Slavya lying right next to me. I can't run, I can't hide, and even without her looking at me in the eyes, I know that she sees right through me. You're distressed by something, aren't you? No, I'm fine. But I can tell that you are. Well, maybe. Want to talk about it? Well, not really. In fact, there's nothing really to talk about. Then you don't really know why you're upset? Yeah, probably. Then why get upset in the first place? Slavya laughed. I guess I shouldn't. That's great. She hugged me even harder. Not cold now? I'm fine. Just tell me if you're not comfortable. No, it's okay. Like that time, on the boat? My muscles, as if I remember the rowing competition, reminded me of it with a dull ache. It's totally different. Okay. She said slyly and raised her head a bit. So, everything is fine? Yeah, perfect. I started to worry. Slavya surely wanted something from me. Wanted me to do or say something. But what? Are you sure? Yeah. Probably. Well then. Have a good night. You too. So I'm getting the feeling that Slavya is all about living in the moment, not to worry about so much. That's her archetype. After a while, she fell asleep. I checked the clock out of the corner of my eye. It was only 1 a.m., and that meant that I still had to lie in this position until morning. I wasn't really concerned about my arm going numb. Just being so close to Slavya, in such a dangerous proximity, I couldn't sleep at all. Yeah, I recognize that. If you have seen my gameplay of Eternum, this is exactly the sort of thing I was talking about when we were with Annie that first night after visiting the Red Herring. It's exactly this. Various thoughts were invading my head. Did you really consider this whole situation normal? Not good. Just when I was thinking how bad it would be if anybody found us, the door opened, the light switched on, and Olga Dmitrievna rushed in. My heart jumped and stopped for a moment. Semyon, started the camp leader in a diabolically calm voice. I've been searching for you everywhere, and you escaped from the forest ahead of time. Didn't you come to the cabin to sleep, and now you're seducing our best pioneer? Slavya instantly woke up. She was staring at the camp leader with her sleepy eyes for a few seconds, and then instantly understood what was going on and jumped from the bed. Oh, Olga Dmitrievna, it's not what you think. I just fell ill and Semyon walked me here. And then I got a cold and I told him to go to his cabin. Oh yeah? Sure. So you're sick, are you? I am, answered Slavya humbly. Then you have to get treatment. She watched me menacingly. And you, get up and follow me. I understood that arguing was not an option and left the infirmary, not even looking at Slavya. Bad. We reached the square without saying a word. Olga Dmitrievna viciously looked over at me and said, Time to go home. I need to have a serious talk with you. I felt awful the whole way. The camp leader silently followed me. I think that once again, I got into a stupid situation which will be perceived totally wrong by everybody. Nothing to discuss. What if I were in Olga Dmitrievna's place? 2 teenagers cuddling in an empty infirmary at night. It's hard to come up with any apologies. The worst thing is that all these always happen specifically to me. Yeah, sure. You're just a victim, nothing else. It's not like you're choosing to do this shit. I always consider myself to have an analytical mind. However, I've rarely got to put it into practice. We entered the cabin and the camp leader continued the interrogation. Would you care to explain yourself? She seemed to have calmed down a bit. At least this side of her character was appealing. She was, of course, an impulsive woman, but she also cooled down quickly. Slavya already told you everything. You expect me to believe that? I can't force you to believe it, but I am not going to invent any excuses either, because it's the truth. She looked at me for some time and then said, Tomorrow I will decide what to do with you. The camp leader turned off the light. I rolled myself in the blanket, not even bothering to undress, and turned to face the wall. Interesting. Why does she only blame me for what happened? I wasn't there alone, after all. Well, it's the 80s, you know. You're going to blame the boy. It's always the boy's fault. Back in those days. Sometimes it's still like that. But, yeah, the 80s, man. Slavya is a role model pioneer, of course, but... No, I didn't intend to shift the blame to her. I just felt too ashamed for getting into an idiotic situation once again. Involuntarily, with no malicious thoughts, not expecting any trap, I could have lay there pitying myself for a long time, but fatigue overtook me, and I blanked out. So it's day 6 now? That was fast. Slavya path in that case. Yeah, there we go. I didn't sleep well. I kept waking up for a minute or two and then dropping off again. I didn't dream much, just some grotesque images, forgotten by morning. Olga Dmitrievna woke me up. Wake up already. I rubbed my eyes open and looked at her questioningly. What time is it? Late enough. My whole body ached and my head was heavy like a bowling ball. Pull yourself together and go wash yourself up. Right now. I stood up obediently, took my toiletry bag and went outside. I didn't want to talk to the camp leader at the moment. A lecture was clearly coming. A hard one. But I'd better put it off as much as I can. After all, I always did things this way. Trying not to fall asleep on my feet, I somehow made it to the wash basins. The cold water knocked some sense into me. Maybe I should pay Slavya a visit. I still have some time left. Just to tell her I'm sorry. On the other hand, why should I justify myself? It was her idea. No, staying behind was your idea. What the fuck are you talking about? And what did I do wrong? Besides once again getting myself into a silly situation where all the odds are against me. I took a deep breath and went back to Olga Dmitrievna's cabin, with a firm intention of proving myself innocent, or at least showing that I will stand my ground. But the room was empty. I sat on the bed and dropped my face into my hands. I need to come up with an excuse. Now! A nice and believable excuse. If she won't believe the truth. Well, that's not surprising. If I was her, I wouldn't have believed it either. Nothing worthwhile was coming to me. I was just sitting there, gazing at the sunrise. The door swung silently open, and the camp leader came into the room. Olga Dmitrievna, I'd still like to explain to you that... No need. I looked at her, surprised. Did Slavya get worse? I understand everything. So I understand it wasn't what it looked like. Why? It looked exactly like what it was. I don't want to condemn either you or Slavya. I understand everything. Puberty, hormones, all that kind of stuff. I sighed hurriedly and laid my hand down on my hands. What do I need to say to make you believe me? Nothing. I said it already. I understand everything. You don't understand a thing! I muttered under my breath. Okay, completely wrong tone there. Okay, head over to the lineup. I stood up and dragged myself lazily along with her. But could I at least pay her a visit? Of course not. The camp leader looked at me with such a surprise, as if my question was something completely inappropriate. I've already warned the nurse not to let you in. Well, am I allowed to know how she is at least? Well, it looks like Slavya is actually sick. I didn't manage to ask how serious it was as we reached the square already. So she knows that Slavya is sick and still she thinks we were canoodling. Okay. Freaking NPC, man. Go and take your place. I took a place next to Electronic. So, what happened yesterday? He whispered to me. What are you talking about? Well, you suddenly disappeared. Well, nothing special. Telling everything to the entire camp was the last thing I wanted. After all, if even the camp leader got us wrong, then what would the others think? Though I've already started to think that it's not entirely wrong. The entire lineup consisted of a roll call and announcement that the shower room is closed today for repair. Finally, the pioneer ran for breakfast chatting happily. I miserably followed them. Frankly speaking, I wasn't in the mood for eating at all. After hanging around near the canteen doors for a while, I turned around and headed away. I don't know how it turned out this way, but eventually the infirmary appeared from nowhere in front of me. Looks like my autopilot just kicked in. I stared at the door, at a total loss. They won't let me in anyway. What can I do now? Should I wait for Olga Dmitrievna's sentence, if it ever comes? Should I wait until everybody in the camp knows? And that's even worse. Wicked glances from everywhere, the alienation. That is what will happen for sure. No, I haven't done anything wrong. But in the enclosed circle of this bizarre society, such behavior would be treated, if not as a sin, then as a serious deviation for sure. And that means that I've already got nothing to lose. I knocked without any hesitation. Just a moment. I pulled the doorknob, but the door wouldn't open. It's locked? Yes. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. In a few moments I heard the key turning in the keyhole and the nurse appeared. Good morning, pioneer. Hi, I answered confidently. Well, you know that you're not allowed here. Well, I do, but if you'd, nah, that's not the way things work, she said playfully. A camp leader's order is an order after all. If you ask me, personally I don't find anything immoral in your behavior, but Olga Dmitrievna, maybe I can do something. No, you can't. I looked at her angrily, turned around and walked away with theatrical slowness. I didn't know what to do next. I just pressed on forward, punching the trees that stood in my way. I recovered from this burst of rage only when my hands were hurting badly and my lips were bitten until they bled. And the most interesting thing is that all my unbelievable awakening in an unknown pioneer camp has turned into the most trivial life drama. A drama as stupid as my entire existence. Yet again I did something wrong. I thought something wrong, and they got it all wrong. Fine then. Just let everything be. Nobody was near the canteen. I sighed in relief and took a place in the farthest corner, hoping that nobody would see me. Somehow, stuffing my breakfast in, I was about to leave already when Miku dashed up to my table. "Oh, good morning, Semyon. I kind of overslept today. Can I take a place here next to you?" She sat down straight away. "Well, I'm kind of leaving already." "Is it true that you and Slavya are like that? Well, you know what I'm talking about." She stared at me closely, blinking her eyes. "Who told you that?" "Well, one would expect the rumors to spread fast. But not that fast." I started to slowly go into rage mode. "I heard from Senya, and they probably heard it from Chesikov. He heard from Olga Dmitrievna. I don't want to misunderstand me. It's not my business. But if you don't want to, then don't answer. But if it's not a secret..." "You're right. I don't want to answer." I stood up and quickly headed towards the exit. It was a hot day. This amplified my anger since I don't like the heat. Right now, though, anything could drive me out of my wits. But I had to make up my mind now on how to conduct myself. I didn't want to run into anyone, so I went into the forest where I could think calmly. Having stopped in a glade, I sat on a stump, took a stick and started to pick at the ground with it. If there's nothing that's up to me, all I can do is to simply wait. But, in fact, what can I do? Assault the infirmary? Even if I succeed, what comes next? Try to bring Olga Dmitrievna to her senses? Hardly possible. Funnily enough, this whole enigma turned into a simple everyday situation. If it was happening in my world, there would be no problems at all. Come on, really, what's the problem? Even if I did sleep with a girl, who cares? Why do I have mosquito bites everywhere? I haven't seen a single mosquito. Even if I was actually 17, even then nothing terrible would happen anyway. It would be slightly more awkward but still tolerable. And now what? I'm not the master of my fate. Although, was I ever? Is there anything at all that was up to me in my entire life? Have I ever reached any peak that I was seeking? And now, once I've reached one, I can't hold my ground. Maybe I was just a spectator from the very beginning. My mystical appearance in this camp, all the local residents, all the events that happened to me. All that is just a weird game and I'm only a pawn. Well, if that is so, I will still play out my role to my best. I got up and headed to the camp, prepared to take no prisoners. The plan wasn't completely finished in my head, but I made up my mind already. There was no one at the camp leader's cabin. I rummaged through the cabinets and packed up a sleeping bag, my winter clothes, a flashlight and some other garments I found. I came out and immediately ran straight into Alyssa. "Going for a hike?" "Yeah, for a hike," I reassured her. "Well, take care." She gave me a sly smile and went on her way. I hastened my steps to the infirmary. The nurse is a human too in the end, so eventually she will go to lunch. I hid in the bushes, waiting. Time flew by fast. My thoughts have settled and I had a firm decision. I haven't thought my plan out beyond the first steps. I simply didn't care. The most important thing is that I act the way I think is appropriate and whatever happens next, let it happen. At last, the nurse came out of the infirmary. She looked around, noticing no danger, locked the infirmary with a key and quickly went towards the canteen. As she went around the corner, I got to the window in a few bounds and started to hectically knock on it. Slavya showed up soon. "Semyon, what are you doing here? You're not allowed to... How are you feeling?" "I'm fine." But Olga Dmitrievna told me to stay here for another day. She told me something completely different. Okay, get out, I said with confidence. What are you talking about? What for? She asked fearfully. Get out now, I'll explain everything later. She looked at me closely for a while, but then opened the window without a further argument. He helped her to jump down to the ground. Okay, what's next? Let's go. I grabbed her hand and made my way to the forest. Slavya stopped for a few minutes later. Semyon, just what are we doing? What's wrong? Do you think that everything was right the way it was? No, I don't. But it will be even worse this way. Why? We have a right to act the way we think is correct. Okay, but what will happen next? I haven't thought about it yet. Every step in my plan had gone quite well until now, but I wasn't keen on thinking even one step ahead. Take a look. I opened the bag and showed the things I took from the camp leader's cabin. And? Slavya looked at me inquiringly. I don't know. Well, we'll stay in the forest for a while. Show them that our opinions matter. So you're gonna rebel? What? Where the fuck did you get that idea from? Because the camp leader thought you were having sex? But that's stupid and childish. Yeah, you tell him. Well, if you don't want to. She gave me a lamentable look. I'll do as you say. These words gave me the creeps. Yeah, as you say. Nobody ever said anything like that to me. In any case, I think this is the best decision for now. Alright. I laid the sleeping bag on the ground and we sat on it. So, what are we going to do? I don't know. I've never been so close to utter failure. No, I wasn't questioning my choice, but indeed, I had no idea what to do next. What would you suggest? It would be nice to have something to eat. Have you brought anything with you? And that was exactly what I had forgotten. No, I haven't, I replied slowly. That's fine. We kept sitting in silence. I wonder if they will look for us. Though even if they do, they are unlikely to succeed. The forest is big enough. But food. By the evening I'll get hungry too. Okay, stay here. I'll be right back. Where are you going? To get some food. Maybe we should go together. No, I'll be right back. I headed back to the camp at a rapid pace, leaving Slavya alone in the glade. I'm absolutely certain that she won't go anywhere and will wait for me. I wish I was as certain that I'll remember the way back as well. Even if they haven't started to look for us, both of us yet, then surely they'll have to find out that Slavya is missing, so I have to move carefully and try not to get noticed. In general, every single pioneer was a threat now. Not only those who knew me, such an obvious kidnapping would surely be known to everyone in no time. And while getting to the canteen in a few sprints was not hard at all, I had no idea what to do next. I can't just walk in there like nothing happened. Are you hiding there? I almost jumped out of my skin. Uliana was standing behind me. Getting hungry? She stared at me. Come on, why so quiet? I was tongue-tied for a moment and couldn't think of an answer. So, why have you come? I was just hungry. I want to get something for Slavya. But that will actually be the end of today's episode. Why did we come to the canteen? That is something we will be answering in the next episode, which will also be where we take care of the good ending, I believe. So yeah, how are we going to deal with Uliana? We'll see. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. And if you guys want to help me out, you can do so by clicking the link down in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.